Raffi Torres, amazing that it's been 7 years now since your last NHL game. Just give us an idea of what you've been doing since and what your day-to-day life looks like right now.
Yeah, so the first couple of years, obviously, the way my career ended, I wouldn't say I was in a great place. I was obviously really frustrated, a lot of things off the ice, and a lot of it has to do with the injury and then, the suspension and all that kind of stuff that kind of just put, major red flags in front of me. So the way things ended, obviously, were tough, but I had a great support system. Came back home, my parents and my wife and my family have been major part in getting me back to where I need to be a productive human being. So in that sense, it was tough, and a lot of times, the career wise, a lot of people would see the suspensions and all the kind of like negative things I did out there, and I did too at one point because everywhere I looked, that's what I was looking at. So for me, I had to go, dig deep and look back to all the positive things that I did in this league. And, being a high draft pick, playing on teams that had some pretty significant runs throughout, the playoffs. And so other than that, it was tough. I'd say the first year and a half were tough. A lot of feeling sorry for myself, but then realizing that gets me nowhere. So I had to take a good long look in the mirror to find some positive avenues for me to follow up on. And nowadays, it's great. I'm into, I had did some hockey schools. I work, do a lot of privates with the kids on the ice. And I coach my little guy too. I've been coaching him for the last 3 years. And we have a, double A team, triple A team coming up hopefully next year. And so it's nice. I did realize that hockey has been such a major impact on my life. And at one point I had wanted nothing to do with it. And, having my son and being around, the kids here in my hometown of Stouffville, Ontario, it's brought back the passion for me, which is great. Now that being said, would I want to take it to the next level and try to get up to where I was? I don't think so right now in my life. Pretty happy where,
Yeah.
working with kids and just being a dad. And, like I said, right now like I told you earlier, we're just get to do stuff what I want to do, renovations on my house, be the taxi driver for all the kids to practices or to their friend's house, stuff like that. I'm enjoying it.
Are you a nail gun guy? Are you a Sawzall guy? What kind of construction stuff are you into?
So yeah, I mean, whatever. Right now, I got my buddy down. Right now, we're framing the basement. I'm trying to learn as I go, but right now, a lot of screwing. I'm just kind of the help right now. I screw things in, the labor, and try to learn as much as I go. So we've done some drywalling, some framing, tape and mudding. I'm not really a big. That's kind of, that takes some experience.
You and I have that in common. We do the dirty stuff. We let the real contractors do the do the skill tasks.
Yeah, it's funny. I always wanted to be able to do stuff like that, but when you're working on nice things and stuff like that, I just don't want to screw it up, right? So
I hear you.
Go from there.
I hear you. Hey, since you left the NHL, I mean, I'm sure you keep tabs on the game and just watching here and there. The game seems to be a lot less physical in the last 5 to 7 years, and teams have strategized around being a quicker team, a faster team. Do you see that change, that transition as well? And I'm wondering, from you being, more of a physical player, is that a good thing for the game? Is that a bad thing for the game? How do you see it?
Yeah, you know what? It's give and take. As much as I love the physicality of the game and getting in on the forecheck and all that kind of, that dirty area stuff of type games, it's tough. Like nowadays I see guys, kids turning pucks over at the blue lines, entering the offensive zone, and they're right back out there the next shift. So it's like, at what point are these kids held accountable for their mistakes out there? Because I just know from my day and age, if I turn the puck over in my first shift, I wasn't probably seeing a shift till the second. Period, right? So, like I said, the game's changed. I think the athlete and the general NHL player has changed in itself as well, right? They're highly skilled. Everything is done at an amazing pace, and it's fun to watch. Don't get me wrong. I'd be lying to you if I'd sit there and watch a full game, start to finish, because I see so many things that would frustrate me. But overall, listen, as I'm not the general fan anymore, right? Like, I played it, I love it, I love watching it. If you ask me to name 5 players on the Sharks right now, I'd probably have a tough time doing that. Even in my hometown of Toronto, right? I only know it because it's funny. I need to start watching more because my buddies and all that kind of stuff. That's all we talk about is that's all they talk about is sports and hockey and all that kind of stuff. So, I'm gradually becoming more involved in it. Like I said, I love working with kids and doing that and teaching kids just simple things of how to receive a puck or how to protect themselves and critical areas of the ice. But yeah, it's and that's pretty much where I'm at.
You obviously played for a handful of different teams and spent the most times in the NHL with the Edmonton Oilers, but 2 years with San Jose, and they were your last 2 years in this league. So I'm wondering how you view your time as a Shark when it happened and since then.
A major part of my career when I got traded to San Jose was one of the happiest times of my life. I was in great shape. I just got a new deal from the team, from the organization, which we're still very grateful for. And then and that going into my first camp there when I blew out my knee
Mm-hmm.
with running into Edam, that was probably the best shape I've been in my career. And I was ready. I was hungry, and so you can imagine, the time and the effort that I put in that in those 4 or 5 months leading up to camp, how pumped and exciting it was, and really just wanted to give back for the contract that was given. It's frustrating too because I was playing some good hockey. Even when I came back off that little stint, and it was only a 2 week period, I was playing some really good hockey coming back from injury. Now, where I made the mistake was coming back too quick. At this point, it was my second ACL repair. Generally in history past, it takes a little bit longer. I'm the type of guy that, I wanted to leave it all out there. I was going to do whatever I had to do to get back out there. And I think it ultimately backfired on me in the end. And sometimes that wasn't being fair to myself or fair to my teammates and being honest exactly where I was at. So it's tough, but being in San Jose, the organization was great. The people working in the organization, guys like yourself, it was amazing. I wanted to, like I said, I was so hungry to just get back out there and just provide for this team. But it was frustrating because I couldn't be where I needed to be, and ultimately coming back and then that the suspension on Silverberg, at that point was new. It was new coaching staff, Pete DeBoer, Steve Spott. So what happened was, I think that was my first or second exhibition game. I still had not really proven to these guys what kind of player I could be. Sorry, just let me fix this. And then once again, I made a mistake of not thinking for half a second out there, and it cost me 41 games, ultimately my career. So it was frustrating at that point, but I have no ill will to anybody, or I've moved on. I'm past it. I'm in a good place in my life right now, and but I just feel like I wish I could have done so much more, being healthy for that team and help them out. Ultimately to just keep going deeper in the playoffs and all that kind of stuff.
Raffi, from the outside looking in and watching you, like you say, go through injuries and suspensions, some things very much out of your control, once they'd already happened. It did seem like one guy who was always in your corner was Doug Wilson, in terms of going to bat for you and, like you say, giving you another contract, keep giving you chances. How did Doug work for you when you guys were together?
You know what? Doug Wilson was great. I owe him a major, thank you for that one day that'll come when I run into him and see him. But he was great for me. He was great for my family. Nothing but I have nothing but positive vibes from him. I know the way things ended, he would probably think different of the way I acted, but like I said, I was frustrated. I was in a dark place. I was, just so frustrated with what's going on and why I couldn't heal enough to be able to get out there, right, and play my game. So at the end of the day, like I said, the Sharks, Doug Wilson, Junior Wilson, they were all great to me. The
Yeah.
whole staff, there was nothing on them. Back then I would have been like, what the hell, what's going on? Why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? But that's just me, just being me, right? So, at the end of the day, if this is a chance, if they'll see this, say, thank you, Doug Wilson, and the Sharks, the organization, for putting up with me for 3 years and to going about for me. It's greatly appreciated with myself and with my family.
Oh, they'll probably see it one way or another, Raf. Hey, I hope you don't mind, and I want to go back to this because people still talk about it. And 2013, that playoff series, Game 1 against LA at Staples Center, when you and Jarrett Stoll collided. What's crazy is after the fact. I mean, people thought there was intent. People thought there was, it was a dirty hockey hit. But like you and Jarrett actually went back, right? I mean, wasn't he in your wedding? Weren't you guys friends? I'm wondering, why that never really got discussed wide scale, and maybe you could just kind of open the door a little bit on that hit and actually how maybe it wasn't how it appeared in real life and what you guys are actually like in real life.
Jarrett's a great guy. First and foremost, he's the ultimate competitor, hell of a teammate, but overall a great friend. And you know what? At the end of that, after that hit happened, there was a little friction there, but at the end of the day, we've reached out to each other. We've talked, by phone, by texting, stuff like that now. And I consider him a great friend. Yes, he was in my wedding party, and I wouldn't change that for anything. But just to go back with the hit, it's funny. People think that if you actually know and the speed of the game. What I saw coming across, we had a momentum shift. We were in there. We were cycling. I see a player coming up, and I'm telling you, I might have seen. You might look like I see him for 3 or 4 seconds. I saw a split second. I saw an LA King with his head down, and I got there a little early. I don't know. I'm still on the fence, like whether it was dirty or whether it was not. But listen, it's something that I live with. I live with all these these dirty hits or whatever you call it, day in and day out. But at the end of the day, I play the game the way I know how to play it. Sometimes it gets me in trouble. In my first 6-7 years in this league, I was being paraded around in the dressing room after throwing these vicious hits and one on Mahalik that nowadays that Mahalik hit way back in the day would probably get me a year suspension. But back in that era, it was a great hit, a great momentum hit, and something that we look back on from that Oiler franchise that turned that series around. So it's like I said, I just got caught in the middle of things where, hey, we need to start protecting our players, and me being me, I was the last one to realize that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and just that going back to the hit on Stoll, I think what's crazy is like his head was over the puck. He was leading with his head. If you're going to make contact with him, like what were you supposed to make contact with? I mean,
it's tough, like funny thing too. If I don't attempt to throw that hit, then I got guys like Doug Wilson and who was the coach at that time? It was Todd. It was Todd. Like, if I come back if I don't throw that hit, then they're like, hey, like, why are you finishing your hits? This is what you brought in here for. All that other stuff, a couple goals or momentum shift, that's all great and all, but you're here to throw the body and generate some momentum for our teammates on the ice, right? So the more I'm out there being physical, I find that as the series goes on, it's going to give guys like Marlowe and Joe Thornton, guys, it's going to give them a little bit more room out there, because I think these, and I just know from experience that in a 7-game series, when you got guys like myself, Mike Brown, Jordan Tutu, finishing hits all day, it takes a toll on these defense. They think twice, right? So,
yeah.
But after the hit, yes, like what, it depends where you are. If you're in San Jose, it was a clean hit. If you're in LA or the NHL offices, they seem it's not in a positive way.
I hear you, man. All right, last thing for you, and I hope you understand where I'm coming from when I ask this. I've seen so many athletes in their playing career, and then I've seen them retire, and then I've seen them not necessarily know what to do at first, and then they find something. And Raffi, just to see you talk today, it seems like you have found that something, like you're in that happy spot. What would you say is advice to players who are just about to retire, or maybe are in that spot where they just don't know what's next? Because like I said, it's an amazing transition of life. You have been so trained to be a hockey player. Everything you know has been all about hockey, and then all of a sudden you're kind of dumped off in this wide open free world. So how would you best help somebody who's maybe in that kind of spot right there?
Well, I'll just let you know what I did. Okay, I don't have all the answers, that's for sure. But for me, my whole career, and since I signed my first contract, I've been in a situation where I was always helping and taking care of others and helping my family members and just always trying to please other people. And when I retired, I kind of had that same mindset, and it doesn't work. Like for me, you need to focus on yourself, and it sounds a little bit selfish, but you have to be a little bit selfish, okay? Because at the end of the day, for me, I needed to stop worrying about freaking, pleasing my parents, pleasing my brothers, all that kind of stuff. Pleasing people around me. I had to focus on myself and what makes me, at this stage, a good husband and a good father. And if that's waking up in the morning, making breakfast, driving the kids to school, going to get a workout in, just following up, helping other, going and working some stuff like I've done. Been building decks, doing hockey schools, giving back to the community. Just keep myself busy was a major one for me. But like I said, just be selfish. Focus on yourself, focus on your own mental health, and go from there and take it one day at a time.
I remember back in the day, you told me at one point you thought you might want to try broadcasting. Is that still in the cards?
You know what? Listen, there's been opportunities to get out there and to get out and to get the ball rolling in that sense. I think I still need a lot of work, proper pronunciation, all that kind of stuff, and doing proper homework. I wouldn't jump into something. It's hard. It's definitely difficult, and people don't realize the amount of work that you guys put into just to do a 10, 15-minute little segment like this. So, I don't think I'm there, whether, in another 5 years, something pops up or my kids are a little older, I can start focusing on some, my next chapter in my life, maybe. But at this point, no.
Raffi, you got my number, all right? You know how to make it happen. If you want to take the first steps, we'll make it happen for you, buddy. But quite honestly, man, great to talk to you. Even better to see you. Like I said, looks like you're happy. Very happy for you. And so thank you so much for this time. It was great to catch up with you.
Anytime for you, Brody. No problem.